Hey, welcome to the Closing Beat, everybody. Happy Tuesday. How you doing out there? Welcome to part of our new set. This is not actually a green screen, although it looks like it, doesn't it? How cool does that look? We're actually in the process of kind of remaking our whole studio. You might hear some echoes and everything. We're getting foam all over the walls and getting everything set up. And we needed to work on that side of the office, or that side of the studio, and so now we're kind of putting this together. I'll give you a little sneak peek because it's just me today. We're just going to hang out. It's just me and you. We'll go over the markets here today. I'll take questions and everything, but we got a lot to cover just for fun. Let me see if I can do this because I'm by myself. Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. Let's go over here maybe. Yeah, there's me over there. That's what the studio will look like. This thing up here is going to be, there's going to be two of them. It'll be a big light set up there, and we've got all kinds of other stuff coming in, but for the moment, that is what it looks like. Yeah, we even got a ladder. Well, anyways, we're putting it together little by little. We had a great weekend, actually, getting a lot done. Actually, we had a great class last week. If you don't know, we're financial advisors here. The ultra in transparency. You can ask anything. I tell clients, ask me anything that you want, whether it has to do with you, your finances, our company, how we do things, me personally. It doesn't matter. I can answer any question. I just can't publicly tell you what stocks to buy and sell. I can certainly tell you how they're going, but we get in trouble for that. Anything else that you want to know or anything else that I can do to help you get your dough straight, we'll do it. By the way, it says wait list on our homepage right now. We're going through like crazy and just inviting everybody. We're going to change that. So it's going to say request an invite or something like that. So if you've been thinking about joining us or something, go for it. Go ahead, put your name on there, and then maybe shoot us an email or something, and we'll just go ahead and pop it out to you, get you started here. Our Wine and Wealth class last week, we do it every week for clients. Every Thursday, we just, how do we get together and help you with getting your dough straight in general? It's kind of a fun way of saying, look, just, let's organize everything. Let's figure it out. What strategies, what tips, what things can you do that normally are reserved for the wealthy? And I'm working on something really big. I haven't even teased it, that I'm trying as hard as I can to work with the big guys out there to make something happen, and it's going well. But anyways, our Wine and Wealth class last week was the odds of profitability based on your different time horizons, whether you're a day trader all the way to investing for 30 years. We went through every single metric we could, looking back in the entire stock market from 1928 to give you a really data-driven reason why you might do something, like invest for 2 years to buy a house or do whatever, or not, right? So we kind of went through all those stats there. This week, I think we're going to have a frank discussion about your extra money. I'm going to go over some of the questions that I've been getting from clients. Probably a lot of questions, but I'm going to go over some of the questions and what were my answers? What did we specifically work on for them individually? So if you're one of our clients, that'll be this Thursday, which is only 2 days from now, here, actually. So we'll do that. Our notes from Jazz this week, we broke down intra-month performance of the September S&P, right? There's actually something really cool happening in the S&P, and it's very much seasonal. It's totally normal. This happens all the time. Well, we broke it down by every single day, so you can actually see what happens there. And the same exact thing is already happening this month. It's almost perfect, spot on. So that's that one. Coming up in the research site, if you want to join us in the research site, last bit of homework here for me. Hey, look at that. You can't see over here. It's $13 a month if you want to join the research site. If you're a client, it's free. Don't bother paying for it. It comes with everything automatically there. But I'm going to show you one simple chart. I'm going to put it together real clean so that how can you see exactly what's going on in the entire market just in one little square. So I'll show you kind of the things that we look at, and then we're going to build that out as a tool so that you can use it anytime you would like to. Anyways, that's enough for me for the homework. Let's take a look at the stock market here today. Did you see what happened? Slight pullback to start the week. That's okay. Markets fall. They do their thing. It's not a big deal. We'll go over to the charts here and take a look. You got the Dow down just a little bit, hinting that it was going to break out, and still is, really. I mean, one day of a pullback doesn't really do much. But you've got this consolidation near highs. As long as we don't break too far under the 50-day moving average, you'd have a lot of people still thinking that a move above those highs would be a good reason to buy, right? Be a good reason to add to a portfolio or do whatever there. So overall, a little weak in the ultra short term, but still holding that base. And if you're looking through some stocks today, Honeywell dragged things down, broke below the 50-day in a pretty convincing way, down 2.33%. You got Boeing also falling a little bit, down 1% there. They were in the news today. Ryanair, which was going to buy a handful of 737 Maxes. They've stopped that. Likely went over to Airbus, which is not good news for them. Also, Airbus is beating Boeing this year as far as deliveries. They did 40 in what was it, August? So they delivered 40 aircraft, and they're on pace to hit the 600. They were hoping to sell 600 this year. They're on pace to do that there. Anyways. Also in the Dow today, Amgen has been and continues to be a drag even today on the Dow, down another 2.2% there. Got a downgrade that hurt the Dow. Disney waking up a little bit. New movie, Shanghai, doing really well there, and apparently helping out AMC as well. We'll cover that in just a little bit. But Disney, great day today, up almost 2% on the day. And a fun fact about Disney will be about their the boats, the cruise lines, right? So if you ever go on a Disney cruise, they take pictures of it, but underneath it, when they build it and they put it in the water for the first time, they make a special coin, and they actually weld it, I'm guessing, to the bottom of to the keel of the boat. And so that way it's kind of seen as like good luck, and there's one little coin down there just seen as Mickey bringing good luck to the ship. There's a new one coming out, and they're going to do the same for that. I haven't seen the coin yet, but I believe there are pictures out there that you can take a look at. And also, if you're thinking about going to Disney, the next week and a half to 2 weeks, that's your time, be the lowest crowds you've ever seen. At least for the year there. Anyways, moving on to the Nasdaq today. The Nasdaq was the beast. It held up the best, sat there at new highs. I believe it did touch new highs for a moment there. You had Apple. Oh, there you go. Apple continuing its move. This is normal. You see the buy on the rumor, sell on the news. The buy on the rumor today was that it wasn't a rumor, but the invites for the September 14th Apple event, which is likely going to have new iPhones, that went out today. The stock always goes up on that news. When we get to the event, it tends to sell off into that news. So no surprises there if that's the same thing that happens again. Anyways, it's the big names today. Apple, Amazon, Tesla, these were your biggest contributors on the day. A good move there for Tesla. Match.com, one of the stocks that we own, had a good day here today, up 7.5%. So happy to see that. It's getting moved to the S&P 500. Kind of interesting there. Also, if you're looking around at the Chinese names, they had a good day. JD.com, Pinduoduo, the ones that have been a little bit soft lately, well, extremely soft, all had good days, Baidu included. President Xi, it's kind of off the radar actually, but President Xi, so what happens basically is companies in China were going public here in the States for the longest time. It was a large part of our IPO market. Well, President Xi basically said, hey, those sort of tech-forward, smaller companies, we're going to create a new exchange just for them so that they can stay here in China. We can keep that wealth in China and hopefully spread it out to the masses as they're trying to do. Well, that's good news for Pinduoduo, Baidu, and the Chinese names, because it means that the focus is now off of them. Right, it's done. All that mess is in the background. They've all kind of done what they had to do there. And now there's this incentive for them to list over there, or any new companies to list over there. So that was seen as good news there in general. S&P 500, here we go. Pulling back ever so slightly, just 1/3% down on the day, not really a big deal. It was the third worst performer here today, and the Russell was, I believe, the second worst performer. Remember, it had an amazing run. Remember, we talked last week, I think I even put it in the notes from Jazz, that at the pace that the Russell was on over the last 2 weeks, it would have taken less than 10 days for it to become the first place index for the year. That's how fast it was moving. So that took a little bit of a break here today and likely deserves a break as well. Couple things I want to point out. Look overseas. I'll use the EWJ. This is Japan here. It's on fire. If you look at Japan, one of the best performing countries in the ultra short term, you got a 7-day stretch of gains here nearing 10% in just that time. It's very extended, by the way. And it's been since 2005 since it's been this extended in the short term. You're talking over 4 standard deviations away from the 50-day moving average, which is really rare. So we've talked about this with Pfizer. Remember, we talked about Las Vegas Sands, some of these stocks that were really extended. You're seeing the same thing in Japan. It is now a currency in El Salvador. That's a key differentiator between here in the States and El Salvador. See, in the States, it's a property. It's an asset. It's something. It's no different than a physical piece of business or a real estate or whatever it is that you own. It's an actual asset. It is not a currency. So there's a huge tax disadvantage here in the States to using it as a currency. You wouldn't. It doesn't make any sense. I still will argue that why would you buy a Tesla with Bitcoin? You're paying way too much. So anyways, that's that. In El Salvador, it's actually a currency, so a whole different strategy over there, and a bit of wild news in terms of Bitcoin for the day. If we look at the sectors here for today, emerging markets, not a sector, but I'm going to start there. Back to the 200-day moving average, very strong recovery off of lows. Consumer discretionary was the best performer here today, best performing index or sector. There was only three sectors that were higher on the day. Communication services came in second place, a very strong and consistent uptrend. Remember, it's being led by Facebook and now Netflix and Disney, hopefully here. So that's kind of what's going on there. If you look at some commodities, gold pulling back very sharply, down 2% on the day. That held back any gold miners. It held back gold ETFs if you're following them. Oil also pulled back a little bit as well. It's seasonal, but maybe this time's a little bit different because we're all headed back to work. But typically it is seen as a seasonal thing for oil to not necessarily be weak during this time of year, but to be quiet. Right? The demand for oil goes up through Labor Day, and then after Labor Day cools off a little bit as we get into the holidays there. So something to look at. Oh, and another thing you can look at, by the way, share something fun with you, gas prices. So here is a quick chart that Cody put together where we're looking at gas prices into Labor Day. So we're comparing every single year at that Labor Day weekend. So this year, average gas price around the U.S. was $3.18. Some of you are going to think that's extremely cheap, but that's expensive if you're looking down here in Florida. We're a touch lower than that on average, really. 2016 was the best. $2.21 was the best average price that we've seen going into the Labor Day weekend, and 2012 being the worst, $3.82. You could see that obviously this year stands out as one of the more expensive. Now, as far as the ramp up in gas prices, into the Labor Day weekend, here is what you have. Average gas prices up 41% this year. Year-to-date performance up until would have been Friday of this last Friday. That's not the worst, but it is the third worst if you look back to 2005. The worst was 2009, coming out of the financial crisis, or in the midst of the financial crisis, up 60%. At 2005, the worst at 58%. If you were to compare those, 2005 to $2.87, $2.59 if you go back there. So best was last year. Remember, we had quite a sell-off in oil there, down 13% last year going into Labor Day. So this is seen as, okay, hey, we've seen that increase. We expect to see a little bit of calming, right? Hopefully gas prices don't start shooting up and we're staring at a $3.50 or $3.60 a gallon. This should be where we start to see things calm down, which essentially is why you're looking at oil with the same thing here, just pulling back a little bit, starting to hopefully calm down as we head into the holidays there. Worst sectors for the day. There we go. Well, I talked about gold and gold miners, right? Already down on the day. Industrials were the worst official sector of the day. I do want to point out silver was also lower. If I just kind of bounce around here a little bit with you, silver in the midst of a downtrend there and just sort of refuses to come out of it. Home builders continue to pull back. That's fine. They've had a great run, no problems there. And utilities as well. Remember, utilities and real estate had been leading the way. Do you want to jump on that trend or give it a little bit of a break? Utilities taking the break. That's okay. That's a good thing. If you look at real estate, super extended. It's had a great run. Let it take a break, and today may be the start of that break that you're getting there. Now, this makes it a little bit difficult because remember, I've been sort of harping on there's a lot of areas of the market that are already weak. There's only a couple areas of the market that are moving things higher, that have any real say in the overall market based on their weight, your tech, communications, services, financials, etc. And so those have been holding up the boat, so to speak, but everything else has been selling off just a little bit. Well, now what happens if utilities, real estate, tech, financials, they all start to pull back? Now you have a recipe for a stock market that has no reason to continue moving higher. So interesting, sort of, it feels like a transition period if you watch the stock market often, like I do. Anyways, new highs and new lows. There were only 17 new highs for the day. There was one new low. That would be Hormel, if I remember correctly. Hormel now extremely extended, one of the most oversold positions it's been in, in quite a while. You have to go back to January of this year. Well, I got a chart. Why am I guessing? There you go. So here's one of the other times it was really extended there. Other than that, the severity of the sell-off in the ultra short term all just very, very extended. I looked at doing an options play there. There's nothing to do. I was going to hopefully have a trade for you there. I do have one on Netflix. Netflix was the other, was a new high today. Very extended here. So I sold the 650 calls, about 750. I got 750 something. For those calls, there's a 20% chance that it finishes out the third week of next month over $650. So a little bet to the downside there. It can move lower, it can move sideways. For all I care, it's just, look, I mean, it's not going to keep going higher. At least at this pace, it's not going to keep going higher. So selling a 650 call seemed like it made sense to me there. I can't tell you what to do, but I can share some ideas that I have going. General Dynamics, look, there wasn't a lot great on the new highs list today, to be honest. General Dynamics hit new highs. It's a slow poke. It is known as being a slow poke there, pays $1.19 a quarter in dividends. That's okay. This is just a normal slow uptrend. I have nothing really good or bad to say about that. Hopefully that keeps going. NTAP also extended in the short term as well. There were really no good plays here to look at, but looking for that to pull back here in the short term. Other than that, I mean, Apple made new highs. What do you do with it? If you own it, a lot of people own it, great. You're happy with that. You got the upcoming iPhone thing coming out. Fortinet did hit new highs, then reversed. Look at this, just from a study of a chart. You have a really clean uptrend. These can go on forever as long as they don't get too extended. You have your little rallies, your little pullbacks. It's nice and calm. Everything is just Bob Ross, man, feeling good. Then, bam, out of nowhere, it gets all kinds of excited. That's often an indication of a top, right? You have this rapid buying going into the end of an uptrend. Look at stocks that have trended like a snail's uptrend kind of a pace here. And then all of a sudden, sort of, what they call it, parabolic or climactically or like a hockey stick. They start kind of rocket shipping to the highs here. That tends to be close to a top. So I thought I'd point that out, but other than that, there's not really a lot there to start the week. We talked about the news in Boeing already, so that was their weakness on the day as far as stocks in the news. Disney getting their Shanghai box office there, $70 million or something in the first week. People want to see movies and want to see good ones. I don't know if it's a good one yet. Honestly, I've seen, I could probably count on these two hands, and that's not 10, how many movies I've seen in their entirety. So I don't really watch a lot of movies, but I do want to go over to AMC because that was higher today, up 8.6%. Hey, they do $1 billion in sales. They lose $2.7 billion. They're worth $22 billion. Now more than 20, now $23 billion here with this move. AMC getting a pop really because of the Disney movie there. Everybody went back to see them. I think they hit some sort of customer attendance record there, at least in the short term. So, what do you got there? Pfizer in the news here. Dr. Fauci says that the third, the booster shot. I don't know. I can't follow what's going on with all these shots lately, but there seems like there's more and more of them. I don't know. But if you're following stocks, Pfizer is likely going to get the exclusive there. So remember, Moderna is a part of that action as well, up 4.7% on the day there. Also, point out GameStop here real quick. So GameStop, they're going to have earnings. GameStop's earnings come out, and they're trying to break a 3-quarter loss streak. On earnings day, for the last 3 quarters, GameStop has finished the day lower. Right? They beat on earnings 64% of the time. They beat on revenue 51% of the time. It's a tough one. It's not the best one out of the group there, but just remember, the last 3 quarters, it's finished down. In the last 8 quarters, it's only had 1 positive day of earnings. So they report earnings tomorrow after the close. I'm talking about the day after, right? So only 1 positive result from earnings there in terms of stock performance. You also got RH, or Restoration Hardware. Well, let's see how they're doing here. This is a Buffett play here. So Restoration Hardware cooling off a little bit. Sitting at highs here. Restoration Hardware reports tomorrow after the close, I believe. 89% of the time they beat on revenue. They're on a 2-win streak for reporting earnings and having a positive day on that earnings. The last 2 quarters here, reports earnings, whatever they were, came out stronger. They made $5.07 and $4.89 a share. I would think this one would be somewhere under $4.89. What are we expecting on that? Do we know? I don't have the numbers for you. But trying to keep that streak alive there. You also got Lululemon, which I believe is has the highest odds of beating. 93% of the time they beat on earnings, 88% of the time they beat on revenue. And so it's a tough one, though. All right? If you look at the last 8 quarters, 6 out of the last 8 quarters, the stock actually moved lower on earnings, which would be welcome. If you like this stock or you want to buy it, could you imagine they have like maybe a quiet day tomorrow and then it sells off on earnings down here? You got yourself a nice pullback if you can kind of picture ahead just a little bit. All right, a couple other things. Then we'll take your questions and hang out with you. You got Match.com. We talked about that going to the S&P 500. That has taken the place of Perigo. So Perigo actually has been performing pretty nastily here. There's a lot of changes. Weight Watchers is moving from the S&P 400 to the S&P 600, and then like 10 other things. Just incredible movement going on in the somewhat major indices at the moment there. What else do we have here? I think I've covered everything, actually. Just hanging out with you here today. Yeah, got interest rates just slightly higher. And yeah, that's it. I'll take your questions if you happen to have any, see what I can do. And go from there. Hey, is it normal for stocks to sell off on X dividend date? It is normal for them to gap down on that day because the stock price adjusts by the dividend. What happens after that, though, I don't have any stat like off the top of my head to share with you. But yeah, it is actually 100% of the time the stock will lower its value by the dividend amount. So no shock there. You like your Peloton? I don't know why, but a lot of my social media buddies out there, I don't know, maybe they figured it out that I see Peloton in pictures and all my friends on bikes and everything. Probably the 3 times they've ever used the bike, right? I mean, come on. It's like getting a treadmill at home. Let's be honest. You got a treadmill. How often are you on that thing just pumping away and running? No. You bought a really expensive bike. But nonetheless, I can't argue that they're popular. The stock price has been pulling back here. They were able to get their bikes back out there. Their treadmills back out there after the unfortunate incidents they had with some of the deaths and injuries and such. But you bought a September 17th $100 call. So all right, basically right around the money there. When Peloton was 102, you got 105 in January. Oh, you got plenty of time. Well, September $100 call. That one you're running out of time. The good news is, can it get above $100 by then? Yes. How far above 100? You don't have any catalyst. So there's no real catalyst to get you significantly above 100 in the next week and a half or so. That one I don't know. That's a tough one. January to 105, I think you have every reason to believe that you get through the holidays, even if they're not as spectacular as sales as they thought, you'll probably be just fine on that one. Yep. Yeah, you got football season starting, so your gambling stocks out there certainly helping. I maybe dabbled a little bit this weekend too, just trying to. I'm not very sports versed, but had a couple bets this weekend, paid out well. I put 10 whole dollars on it, right? Had Georgia. I lost on I thought the Notre Dame game would be under 51 points. But I also took I spread it off like with options. I spread it off with will any team score more than 40 points? Went into overtime, got that 40 point, they got to 41 points thanks to the field goal to win. So I was happy with that. But yeah, you have football season coming up. That's part of the action there. I'm not really big on the whole betting thing, but I'm going to give it a shot this year. You know what I mean? Cody knows every stat on the planet when it comes to that stuff. Maybe he helps me out. We work something out. I don't know. But it doesn't really pertain to this, I guess. But I was just saying. All my guy friends were happy, proud of me. You watched the game, man. Good for you. It's awesome. Thanks for the tip to eat at Enzo's Hidden Speakeasy. Yeah, what a cool place, huh? I'm a sucker for speakeasies, but I'll tell you what, if you're ever in Knoxville, there's another one. What is the name of that one? It's called The Library. The Kern Library. That was a good one. And if you stay at the Oliver Hotel, you kind of sneak in there a little bit ahead of the crowd. But that was a cool one too, because this one you actually had to go down an alley, look for the red light, sit out there, wait. You had to know the code or something. They just let us in. Maybe they know who I was. I don't know. Do they always bump up ahead of first week of NFL season? No, they do not. Nope. This would be not a rarity, but it's essentially a coin flip here. So although that is happening, it is not something. It's like it goes back to the days of there was a correlation between the Daytona 500 and international sports. I forget the ticker symbol. International Speedway. I'm sorry, I said sports. They might have went private. But there was a big thing on that. Those were correlated for a while, sort of up into the Daytona 500, down after the Daytona 500. I love it, man. Yeah, I talked about Bitcoin earlier today. Yeah. Oh, man, hit me with the speakeasies. I would travel just to see one. That's kind of my goal in life. I'm not like a big drinker or anything. I just think the concept's cool. But I would love to have, or maybe I do, have a speakeasy that's legit. We're not trying. It's just back of the envelope, some industrial place. You have to like pull your car in the garage or something. I think that'd be cool. Yeah. Cheering for Cody to get the office there. Well, I have to show you. He'll be here tomorrow, but I'll show you. He took one of the other offices that we haven't got to it yet, and he set up his golf net and his mat and the clubs. It's a full simulator in this office. I'm like, hey, let's do a little work, huh? But it's right next to what he hopes will be his office, so we'll see what happens there. Yeah. Strip club stocks, yeah. Are they still around? Rick's Cabaret? Yeah, it is. Oh, okay. So they were delisted, actually. So maybe down to pink sheets now. I wouldn't get that on these charts, but yeah, Rick's Cabaret for a while. That was where there was some action there in the stock. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's it. Like we can have like a speaker. There's actually a restaurant here in town. It's like a bar restaurant, the Market Bar or something like that, where the prices of the drinks actually fluctuate based on supply and demand. And then they occasionally will have a crash. It's a timed thing, but there'll be a stock market crash where all the drinks go on sale. They're super discounted. That's pretty cool. It's not like a franchise or anything. It's just a local deal, but I'm into that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm into that stuff. So we actually were just talking about NFTs today because there's a painting that I made. It's in the FinTips videos. You can see it up at the top. It's a blue with a $sign and gold, and I made that. And he was saying that we should something about an NFT with that. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't get it. We were trying to talk about like, well, if somebody bought it, then do we have to destroy the physical one, or do I have to like not show it? What is that? I saw the poach there for Apple. Good one for them there. And if nothing else, just to hire him, to get him into a room and go, all right, bud, what were you working on over there? Tell us, man. Got to know about this Apple car. Right? I don't know how much they pay the guy, but it'd be kind of cool. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there and get back to work here. But what do you think? Let me know. This is actually, so that thing is fuzzy intentionally. That's not the camera. We actually bought it that way. So it's fuzzy in real life. You can see down here that the boards are not blurry, but that's blurry. And then we got to get all this set up and all that. But we're working it out, man. We've got a lot of big things planned and a lot of really cool, not so big things planned, but that are hopefully going to move the needle a little bit, keep things going. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and we'll see you tomorrow. Do it all over again. Adios.